Hi, welcome to episode 1 of What's Cooking India. Today, I'll be making a few dishes from the state of Andhra Pradesh. First is the dibba roti, where dibba means stick. To make this dish, I took half cup of urad dal and soaked it in water for 5 hours. Make sure to wash your dal before soaking it. After this, I drained the water and blended the urad dal in a blender till smooth. I was cautious while adding the water to make sure the batter was semi-thick. Then I added 1 cup of rice rava and salt to this and then mixed it well. To make the rice rava, I used Sona Masuri rice, which I washed with water and dried on a cloth. Following this, I blended it to make our rice rava, which I have used here. Then I added some cumin seeds and stirred to combine. Let it ferment overnight. And ferment it did. The batter had doubled in size by morning. I didn't add much water the previous day, but make sure you add enough water to have a semi-thick batter. To a kadai, add oil and let it heat for some time. Once the oil was hot, I poured 3 ladles of batter and let it cook till a crust had formed. 10 years ago, when I first saw this in my classmate's lunchbox, I thought it was just fried idli. Now I finally have the recipe and couldn't be happier. After some time, I put a lid on it so the steam cooks the top of our dibba roti. Since it was my first attempt, I was so scared I would burn it, so I didn't let the top set. You can see that the side has set a little, but I didn't let the middle cook enough. It was really heavy, and kudos to me for managing to flip it successfully. And you'll shine just like I know that you can do. 'Cause you are my sunflower. Once the dibba roti was ready, I served it with jaggery syrup, my sweet tooth one, which is why I had it with jaggery syrup. It was crispy on the outside and so soft on the inside. And so my breakfast was done. The batter makes 2 dibba rotis, so if you can eat only one like me, make sure to reduce the quantity of batter. Next, I made Vankaya Vellulli Karam. The name gives away what the dish is. It's brinjal fried in spicy garlic powder. First, I made the spice mix, for which I added half teaspoon oil to a pan and waited for the oil to heat. Then added red chilies. I should have added more later because it wasn't spicy enough. Once the chilies began to char, add 2 teaspoon dhania, 2 teaspoon peanuts, 2 tablespoon urad dal, 2 tablespoon chana dal, 10 cloves of garlic and roast on low flame till aromatic. For this series, I'll be covering the 28 Indian states first, following which I'll have special episodes for places I have missed. I'll be going in alphabetical order so I don't miss any states. So please bear with me. I can't find it for you. If you dig down deep. Then I cooled this mixture and blended it well along with some salt. For our main dish, I took some brinjals and crossed them to fill them with the spice mix. If the brinjals are fresh, they make a huge difference in the dish. Brinjals are my favorite, and finding a new way to use brinjals was amazing. I might or might not pick famous foods because I feel some not so famous dishes deserve appreciation too. Once I crossed out the top of all the brinjals, I fried them in some oil till I saw fewer bubbles. One tip would be not to cross the brinjals very deep so they can hold their form. Once the brinjals get familiar with their surroundings, they'll start to open up, which is why I asked you not to cut too deep. If you cut too deep, they'll break apart. Since they have a high water content, they'll do a little dance in the oil, so stay away after you drop your brinjals, as the high water content will cause some oil splashes. I set it aside to cool. Once the brinjals had cooled, I filled them with the spice mixture. I've heard that Telugu people love eating the brinjal stuffed, and I can see why. If I'm not wrong, the brinjal absorbs the spices from the stuffing while cooking and tastes even better. This way, the brinjal is seasoned better than just sprinkling some spices on top. Take a kadai and add 1 tablespoon of oil. Let the oil heat and slowly drop your spice filled brinjals into it. If you have any leftover spice powder, add it to this curry. I had a lot of spice left over, so I will be using them for other recipes. Flip the brinjals gently and cover with a lid to let them cook. This is a delicious curry that is flavored with spices and is favored by me. Let me know what your favorite way of eating brinjal is. After a few minutes, open the lid, and once the brinjals are fully soft, you can serve them.
Boy, I'm glad I held it out. I held it out for you.
I had this with some rice and ghee, and wow, the brinjal was so soft, it just melted in my mouth, and my complaint about it being less spicy didn't matter anymore.
There's nothing I wouldn't do for you.
For the third dish, I made pappu charu. Pappu charu translates to lentil rasam. For this, I took some tamarind and soaked it in hot water. Since the water was too hot, I added some cold water and squeezed the pulp. I got around 1.5 cup of tamarind pulp.
We're just lovers, but we were meant from the start.
In a pressure cooker, I took 1 cup of washed tur dal and added 2 cups of water to it. Following this, I added 2 finely chopped tomatoes, 5 green chilies finely chopped, half teaspoon turmeric powder, and a few drops of oil. Then cover with a lid and let it cook till 4 whistles or around 30 to 40 minutes.
There's nothing that I wouldn't
Once the dal was cooked, I mashed them a little. You can mash them fully if you wish.
do.
I've mentioned the ingredients for each recipe in the description below, so check it out. I'll use Indian names for a few ingredients, for which you can always Google what it is. Once I was done mashing, I added tamarind pulp and 1 teaspoon red chili powder to this. It's okay if the dal is watery, it will thicken when cooked further. And if it's too thick, you can always water it down. You can adjust the consistency of your pappu charu as you wish. I like it on the thicker side because that means lots of lentils in the dish. Then take a flat bottom pan and add 2 tablespoons of oil to it. Once the oil heats, add 4 cloves of garlic. I stir the garlic till it turns golden and then proceed to add other ingredients. The garlic will soften when cooked, so I didn't worry about it being raw. Half teaspoon urad dal, half teaspoon black mustard seeds. I couldn't decide if I should let the mustard seeds pop or fry the urad dal, and I settled on the latter. Then I added 2 red chilies split apart, followed by 2 thinly sliced red onions. Fry till the onions get a brown color. The recipe asked me to cook the onions till translucent, but since I like brown onions, I decided to brown them. You can leave them translucent if you wish to stick to the original recipe. Pappu charu is a beautiful dish because of all its variations, which is why I decided to do this. Finally, added my dal mixture from earlier and let it come to a rolling boil on medium flame. Since I added a lot of water to my dal, my dish didn't require water during the cooking process. Adjust the sour and spice levels for this dish as you wish. I added more chili powder later because it wasn't spicy enough for me. Pappu is a very, and I'm happy to taste an elevated version of pappu. This is such an easy dish for beginners to make. Once it started boiling, I reduced the flame and let it boil for 2 to 3 minutes. While searching for recipes for this video, I found a piece of interesting information about pappu charu. I read that pappu charu is usually made on weekends when people want to take a break, as pappu charu is a very easy dish to make. I know this dish looks boring, but the taste was far from boring.
We've gone our separate ways and never see you face to face, but in my dreams I'm always running back to you. So tell me why I'm tripping over lines drawn between
I accidentally recreated a summer dish my mom makes.
my mind. I've tried so many times to run away and hide from my memories with you.
The recipe I'm making is a basic one, but if you wish, you can always add more vegetables to it.
Beside me on the beach that night, and when you say goodbye, it's still on my mind. Gotta find a way.
Our pappu charu is finally ready for taste testing. The flavor profile was amazing. It was sour and the vegetables gave it a good texture. It was a little spicy too, but all the elements worked together so well.
So I don't know why I'm still in love.
Time to explore what's inside my brain. These recipes were really easy to make. These dishes were very comforting and felt like a warm hug in the form of food. That's what makes comfort food, right? Simple, delicious, and hearty. The fact that something could be simple yet taste heavenly was mind-blowing, and I would make them again. Maybe if I practice more, I can master the art of making dibba roti. I struggled with the dibba roti, but if I wasn't as scared as I was, I would have let it cook longer. The fear of burning made me flip the dish earlier. And fire alarms are scary.
You wanted to be more than friends.
I'm so glad these dishes took less time to cook, as I was salivating due to the delicious aroma emitting during the cooking process. The secret ingredient wasn't saliva, cause that would be gross. I've been told food that smells good while cooking is gonna taste good, and these dishes definitely prove the point. Well, good to know what people from Andhra Pradesh consume. Have you tried Andhra food before? If not, would you give it a try?
Goodbye.